And we can cut out whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why when the camera comes on, we just like, it's like the Matrix. It's like all brain cells just forget it all.
Okay. Whew.
We'll get it at
Yeah,
some point,
we'll get
guys. We'll get it.
Welcome to the Real Talk Collective, episode number 3. We are wanting to build off of last podcast where we talked about mastering the basics. We got a little carried away with nutrition. We did touch on some stress management and some exercise, but we want to dig deeper into those things today. And yeah, start out by just maybe sharing some things that we as coaches are working on that we consider, the basics. Like sometimes the basics are hard, depending on the season of life that you're in. So personally, we wanted to share some things that we're focused on. For me right now, I think that, I used to be someone that put a lot of pressure on myself to work out, 5-6 days a week. And I'm just in a season where I'm really happy and content if I can get in 3 workouts per week right now. And that's kind of the basics of exercise for me that I'm focused on. It's like 3 workouts, 3 strength workouts. I'm moving daily, but my big focus is, can I conquer 3 lifts with mobility and stuff as well. So yeah, and then I think going to bed early, like that's, not scrolling my phone late at night before bed, and just trying to keep my circadian rhythm in like a good rhythm.
Right. And I think for some people listening that may even sound complicated, and I think people forget us as coaches, like we're humans too. We lead stressful lives. Caitlin has her set of clients and she has, I guess, multiple, kind of like we're both serial entrepreneurs. We have like multiple things going on at the same time. And so sometimes even for us as, I guess, experts in our field, we never like fully arrive. It's something that we always recognize that we're a student, and different seasons bring different challenges, different time constraints, different stress. It affects our body just like it affects everybody else, and so the basics may change.
Right.
And what I mean by that is basics are still and will always be food, movement, sleep, light, hydration, connection.
Yeah.
However, the intensity or the quantity or the duration or whatever you want to call it, the volume of those things may vary depending on whatever season of life that you're in. And so, like Caitlin was saying, like for her, it's like if I can get 3 strength sessions in a week, I'm good. Like I'm happy and pleased with that for her lifestyle. If that's sleep, making sure that because I'm in a high season of stress, and the things that I'm going through, I want to make sure that I'm getting adequate rest. And so it may not look like 8 hours a night.
Yeah.
But it may look like, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. What does that look like for you, Caitlin?
Well,
what does it look like?
I'm luckily in a
sleep.
season that I love a good 9 hours of sleep. So I'm a little bit, I don't know if you should compare to me because I do truly try to get like 9 hours every night, but I realize that's not realistic for a lot of people. So, it took me a long time to get to that place where I have boundaries. Like I don't schedule calls, before 9 or 10 a.m. So it's like, okay, like I have some sessions at like 8:30, but it's not every day. So it's like on those days where I do have to get up earlier, it's like I'm going to bed earlier, or I'm just making sure that, okay, even if I can only get 7 hours of sleep, I want it to be 7 quality hours of sleep. And I know that if I stay up and scroll my phone till 11 or 12 o'clock at night, my sleep quality is not going to be good.
Right.
So it's like, sometimes it might not be quantity, but it might be quality, just like exercise, right? It might not be you can go for an hour and a half, but you can go for 30 minutes and make that really high quality. Right. So I think with all of this, food, exercise, stress, sleep, quality of what we're working on is oftentimes more important than quantity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Quality over quantity for sure. Something I think is important to say is, and we kind of discussed this earlier, but like there's such a focus on perfection. Like if you can't be like everybody else, if you're not getting that hour session in, if you're not strength training 5-6 days a week, if you're not eating nutritious meals 3 and 4 times a day, you know, if you're not getting 9 hours of sleep, like that is the quote standard.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's not where you are. Like that just seems like so crazy for you. So, you know, it's going in and looking, kind of doing a lifestyle scan, you know, or a body scan, even both, and looking at what your current lifestyle looks like, your schedule looks like, and seeing where you can close gaps. So, example, if you're one of those people that maybe you order takeout a lot, like you're ordering DoorDash or whatever it is, and you're getting it sent to you, what are you doing in the gap that it would have taken you to get in your car, go and get your meal, wait in line, order it, whatever, come back, eat it? There's a gap that you paid for that convenience. So what could you have done in the 15, 20, 30-minute time frame? You know, if you get to an appointment early and you're waiting in line somewhere, like what does it look like for you to go for a walk around the parking lot? You know, to whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find gaps in that space where you can meet the need or meet the goal and the need for yourself, but also it's not to this high standard of like 10,000 steps a day, 9 hours of sleep, 5 strength training days,
Right.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to go back around to exercise because this is something that we get asked a lot. And it's like exercise, what is enough, you know, and and also what is too much, you know, it could be that. I wouldn't even worry about the too much part. I think sometimes we can do too much on our own. I think it's just meanings, again, going back to some of the basics there. With duration, if you don't have an hour, maybe you have 30 minutes. If you don't have 30 minutes, maybe you have 20. Find whatever gap it is in that schedule and hone in on those, and not trying to do fancy, crazy workouts like whatever you saw your TikTok influencer or whatever they do to build a booty or whatever. But you pick 2 or 3 exercises and you try to do quality movement for those 20 or 30 minutes that you do have versus trying to do so much and it just being a half-ass workout. I'd rather it be quality movement and intentional movement, creating that mind-body connection, and then you actually accomplish something other than just speeding through it just to say that you got it done, and then you end up hurting yourself or paying for it later.
Or like in that regard, you know, thinking that, oh, I need an hour and I need to be able to, you know, do these 10 exercises. Like that seems really, sometimes for people, really daunting. Like that's like, oh, like that's going to require a lot of energy because you're, you know, you've got all this stuff laid out that you think you need to do for it to be a good workout. And it's like mentally, like you just can't even grasp it, or you're like, you don't have the physical energy for it. So it's like, then it's like all or nothing. Like we've talked about that before, like the all or nothing mindset. Well, if I can't do all of this, then I'm just going to do nothing. And like,
that doesn't serve anybody.
Like that's just going to have you completely stuck. So, you know, cut that in half. Like if it's 10 exercises you've got in your head, like maybe that's too much. Cut it down to 4 or 5. And like she said, make it really high quality movement.
I want to use myself as an example. So like yesterday, for instance, I got to the gym at 3:50 and I had a client at 4:30. And I needed to be able to get in, do a workout, and get out and get back for my 4:30 client. That wasn't a whole lot of time. So by the time I got to the gym, it was 4 o'clock. And I got a strength session in 23 minutes. And it was about half the workout that was programmed, but I just focused on 3 of the 7 exercises that I had built in my program. And I got through those exercises. And I just worked on quality movement, not going heavy, not going fast. Am I getting to depth? Am I getting the range of motion? Whatever. Am I getting the range of motion that I need? And just focused on those 3, and I was in and out in 23 minutes. And that's what I had yesterday. And then I was back to back the rest of the evening. I could have used that like, oh, it's 3:50. I have a client at 4:30. I don't have any time. Nope. That was, to me, was like, oh, I have just enough time to get what I need to done. And so that's also a mindset too. Like, so a lot of times people look at time like, oh, that's not enough time. I'm just not going to do it. Versus if I have 5 minutes, if I'm waiting on a client to come in, sometimes like me and Hank will go for a walk around the block.
Yeah.
And it helps me too, because I'm able to come back to my clients and whoever it is that I'm serving with more clarity and give them more of myself, because I took that 5 or 10 minutes or 23 minutes or whatever it is to show up for myself. And I feel more confident in what I'm doing with them because I did that for myself. So it does build or compact upon the other, for
and
sure.
Talking about mindset, like before it, there's also the mindset after it. Because I know I've been in situations like that too, where I've squeezed in whatever I could squeeze in. And it's really tempting afterwards. Like, you can either go one of two ways with your mindset. You can either say, it's just tempting to be like, oh, I only did 20 minutes. Like, I suck today. That's all I got to do. Or it can be like, dang, like I squeezed in 23 minutes of a workout today and like really capitalized on the break that I have. So I would say, like, the mindset before it and then the mindset after it is really important too.
Absolutely.
Because I just think we can guilt ourselves a lot. Like, well, I only did this or I only did that. And it's like, no, you did that. Like, you made most of your time, even if it was shorter than you would have liked,
I think we can agree too. A lot of times with our clients, we see that a lot. Sometimes clients will be like, well, I didn't do it the way I was supposed to do it. I'm like, but you did it.
You showed up.
You did it.
Yeah.
You showed up. That was the hard part. I demo movement, like, well, mine's not going to look like that. And I'm like, well, no, you don't do this 12 hours a day, for decades. And it's not. My sensei tells me, he says, and I know it didn't come from him, but he says it all the time. He talks about, the first time you do it, it's going to be pretty, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Maybe the 10th time you do it, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Maybe the 100th time. It's not going to be, but after the 100th time, hopefully it looks better than the first time. Same thing with the podcast. Like, obviously anybody's listening right now, it's evident we don't know what the hell we're doing. And we're very critical of ourselves. We're very type A. We want things done a certain way and how we are displayed to the public and those things. And there's a lot of eyes on us. And so we want to make sure that we're being good representatives of that too. But I think too, what I hope is by us talking and sometimes, forgetting our line or, forgetting maybe the topic we're talking on or whatever it is. Microphones. Yeah. That it's, you hear this and you say, I don't have to be perfect. I just show up.
Yep.
I just show up and I just keep trying. And hopefully if you follow us along, by the 50th episode, we won't suck as bad. We'll get it down and we'll find a groove. And, I think that when you first start something, it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't matter what it is and whatever journey it is. If it's finances, if it's relationships, if it's health, and all those things compound into each other. But sometimes it's just starting. And if, maybe you don't have an hour, maybe you don't have gym equipment, maybe you don't have a gym membership, but you have your body weight, you can do body weight squats, you can do push-ups, you can do wall push-ups, you can hold a plank. It's just stop overcomplicating things that are really simple. No matter what facet that is. The fundamentals will always be good for you, even if nothing changes. If you never lose weight, if you never gain the weight, if you never get the physique that you want, there are fundamentals of life that will always, always, always be good for you. And you'll probably hear that almost every episode. I will preach that until I'm blue in the face.
So good.
Something else I want to say, not even on the strength part, but even if strength makes you feel uncomfortable, maybe you've never done it, you've never lifted a weight or whatever, but maybe you have a more sedentary job and you sit all the time. What would it look like for you to build an environment that is maybe more ergonomically sound for you? Maybe you're not looking forward at the desk, but you raise your computer up. Maybe you adjust your seating. Maybe you're not turning the same direction. Maybe you're reaching for the phone on your right. Maybe you could switch that up and turn to the left. Think about ways where you can alter your movement in your day-to-day to stay ahead of pain, stiffness, tightness, whatever that is.
When you drive, I used to always be like this.
Yeah.
Wonder why I had like neck problems.
Exactly. The way you hold your purse, the way you hold your child.
Kids.
There's so many things where you can switch off. Like, if you carry, maybe I do a crossbody. So if you carry a crossbody on my right, maybe I switch it and I carry on the left. It's going to feel awkward, but I want to create balance. I'm messing with stuff over here. I keep pulling this off. I'm like, what is that? But creating a balance within my body, like you'll probably see a lot. I'm always got right over left. So sometimes I'll shift and, I'm always moving. I'm very fidgety. I just can't sit still. Which pretty sure is a nuisance for anybody else that's around me, but I just can't do it. But it's finding ways to do something different. Whatever it is that you've been doing, if that's not working, don't keep doing it. I say that a lot of time. Like, stop making yourself insane by doing the same things.
Right.
If you can't walk 10,000 steps or 8,000 steps, but maybe on average you're getting 3, what would it look like for you to get 4,000?
Right.
And then when that becomes easy, maybe what it looked like to get 5,000, like you compound on that and you do it incrementally. Don't set this like really high insurmountable goal and be like, I'm never going to get there. If somebody that is sedentary and they're only getting 3,000 steps a day and they're like, well, the suggested amount is 10,000. I'm like, well, that sounds pretty insurmountable. That's 7,000 deficit right there.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't look at it like that, but you take little bites and you close gaps. Maybe you park a little further away from wherever it is that you're going. Maybe you take the stairs, not the elevator. You've probably heard those things for a long time. But then if you're hearing them, maybe it's time that you start implementing them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and move on to, I feel like we're getting on the I don't know, we're talking a lot about
Hopefully
exercise.
we have shed some light on the exercise basics.
Yeah,
like,
and nutrition. We
talked about nutrition. I think exercise, like, you have to set realistic goals. If you're not working out at all, then okay, maybe it's starting out with trying to get just 1 or 2 workouts per week. And when you get good at that, then you can raise the bar. Same thing with the steps. Like, maybe 5,000 is the starting goal, and eventually you build up. But I think overall, like, figure out, like we said last time, where there is, lack in your life with any of these things, and start realistically.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, when people are starting this, they also always have, well, like, what good is that going to do?
Right.
Like, I'm not going to lose weight doing that.
Right.
But don't even think about that in the picture. Like, I don't sometimes, like, now in my stage of life, I'm not doing things for a look.
Right. Doing it for function.
I'm doing it for function.
And long-term health.
I want to be able ultimately to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Move without pain, and not be held captive.
Independent.
Yeah, and I don't want to be held captive in my body.
Right.
I see so many people that are in bondage to a body that does not work for them.
Yeah,
and it hurts deeply. And so, more or less, I'm kind of running away from that. My family is a lot like that. They have a lot of health issues or obese. And it's really hard to watch them navigate life because it could be very different. But they make those choices for themselves, just like I make the choices for mine. And there are certain non-negotiables in my life that I will not compromise on.
Yeah.
And my family will tell you the same thing. Like, if we go to the beach, Taylor's going to be out there walking. If we go to the beach, I might be out there with my yoga mat doing a workout, or I'm going to find a gym nearby. I'm going to find something to plug myself into because it is vital to me as breathing.
Yep. Our body is our home that we live in. So it's like, what kind of home do you want to live in? Right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely. It goes with you wherever you go.
That ties into probably environment. So.
Yeah. So I think another basic is the environment. And I think it's important to ask yourself, does your environment welcome what you're trying to accomplish? Does it invite a state of stress, or does it invite rest? Does it support your goals? If you go into your kitchen and you can't find a dang thing, and you got supplements that are, I don't know, in the archives of the pantry, you got, expired food and condiments and things like that, maybe it's time just to
clean house.
Yeah, it's time to clean out. It's time to say, okay, what products am I using? What products am I not using? Get rid of the products that you're not using. If you need some place to donate them to, the soup kitchen, the local shelters, whatever, you can do that. And also, that's a whole nother nugget, but it feels good to give things away to help people that don't have those things, some basics. So if there's things that you're not utilizing in your house, think about people that may need them and give them away, and notice how that also changes and shifts something in you and in your environment about where you're headed. I always tell my clients, in sight, in mind, out of sight, out of mind. So if you buy collagen from me and you put it in your cabinet, it's not really going to do you no good. You need to put it in sight. whatever it is that you're trying to implement, you need to make it clear, make it small, make it automatic, make it obvious. These are things that are pulled from Atomic Habits by James Clear. I use that a lot in my coaching and training. You don't want to make things hard. Make the hard things, I guess, easier and more convenient for you. And so figure out ways in your household or at your work environment how to make those very obvious. Mm-hmm. If it's carrying a tumbler around. Sometimes it's not even the tumbler. Like sometimes I go through seasons where like I can slurp through a straw, or sometimes it's a bottle of water, whatever. Sometimes it's the type of stimulus. So sometimes it's just changing up the stimulus and carrying those things with you. I always tell my clients, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So if you leave your house without food and water, I did that today. I left my house without food, and here it was 1 o'clock, and my blood sugar was dropping, and I needed to eat. So thankfully, I work in my studio, and I do have things that are readily available to me. However, if you're one of those people that you are consistently leaving your house without food or water, and then you want to know why you're hungry or dehydrated or susceptible or at the mercy of
a drive-through
or a convenience store, then consider having things on hand that make it easier for you to adhere to. Yeah. And there's a lot of grab and go options that are much better for you than a convenience store or a drive-through. So know that. Do you have anything to put off of that?
I think we're environment-wise too, like I love all of that, insight in mind. Making things, we talked about that last time, like making healthy things accessible and convenient. You have to decide to do that, though. It won't be that way naturally.
No, you have to make the effort.
Yeah. And then I think when it comes to your environment too, and this is, also getting to like the stress management standpoint, but, clutter. And if my husband's listening to this, he's going to be like, oh, look who's talking to herself. Because I can be a little bit cluttery, and he's more OCD, and he keeps me in check. But it's true. Like, you feel better when your house is neat. Mm-hmm. You feel better when things are organized. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so I am speaking to myself too, but I do think that there's just a lot of weight in how our home feels. And I know if you have kids and dogs and things, like, it can be hard to keep the house neat, and you don't have to be a perfectionist, but it's like, create maybe spaces within your house at least that
organized
you can
mess.
like, yeah.
Like maybe all the dishes are in the kitchen and not scattered through the house.
Right.
Or all the laundry is in the laundry area and not scattered all over the furniture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I saw recently, this is more on like a cleaning topic, but it could go for organization too. This girl was talking about how she has like a 1 room a day kind of structure that she keeps her house tidy, instead of thinking like, oh, I got to clean my whole house, which again goes back to like all or nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Like we give ourselves this big daunting, task of, I got to do all of this. I got to clean my whole house. Who wants to do that? It's going to take hours. Maybe you have like 1 room a day that you try to really straighten up, right? Mm-hmm. Like today it's your kitchen, tomorrow it's your living room, whatever. And that makes it way more manageable and palatable to like stay on top of, right, versus thinking, oh, I have to keep the whole house clean. No. So anyways, I think that clutter is a big thing when it comes to environment.
Well, clutters your mind.
Right. Too. It totally has a role on your mind. Has that ever cut on before?
Yeah. So what you're hearing is the ventilation system of the plunge. So it gets a little loud. So hopefully it doesn't affect anything.
The plunge is talking to us.
The plunge is ventilating. At least you know you have filtered water. It's good and sanitary. No, I think that's really important. I think no matter what it is, whether it's food, exercise, sleep, environment, stress, whatever it is, I hope you take small nuggets, and you're not trying to eat the whole elephant sandwich. You can't eat a whole sandwich all at once. You have to take a bite at a time. And so you pull from these things that we're talking about, and you think about, okay, if this one thing in my life changed, how that could affect so many other aspects of my life. If I just focused on my sleep and optimizing my sleep, how would that affect my mood, my metabolism, my hormones, my energy, my output, and how I communicate with my spouse or my loved ones. There's so many things that even if you just focused on one nugget between these two episodes, it would have huge rate of return in your life.
Yep.
I have no doubt about it. I think another thing talking about it is stress management. All of this can sound extremely stressful. It's a lot to absorb, even for us that know better. It's a lot to manage. I mean, taking care of our bodies and our minds and or just our whole selves, it is a lot to manage. But if I could go back 10 years ago, it seemed insurmountable then. I like to think that by 34, I have a better hold on things and I'm very hyper aware for myself what I need to address and what holds importance. You know, there's going to be seasons of my life, you know, just like Caitlin, I'm going through it right now. I live a very high stress, fast paced life. And so for my anxious heart that does not do well for my stress. And so trying to find things to slow down. So maybe it's not taking a 90-minute hot yoga class. It's taking an hour gentle flow. Or it's going for a walk and I leave my phone and my AirPods, you know, somewhere else and I just take in nature around me. I'm not stimulated by music or voices or social media, that I just am out and I'm being and not doing. Yes. If that makes sense. I think that's really important. Embracing the quiet and the stillness, like you said, and not constantly being stimulated by something. So at least one of my walks a day where I don't have my phone or anything on me, that I'm just out and I just embrace the quietness.
Or it could be when you are commuting. You know, I used to, when I was in full-time group fitness, and I would leave work feeling so like fulfilled, but also just so overstimulated that I couldn't get to the quiet fast enough. So my commute at the time was almost 30 minutes, and I'm like, it's a silent drive home, you know, and that was just the best time, you know, whether I was just totally zoned out or whether I was in prayer or whatever, like that was
you just
my
look into
time.
a dark abyss. You're like, don't talk to me. Don't.
But my soul and my nervous system like needed that. So whatever it is for you, whether it's a quiet walk, a quiet drive, you know, a quiet time in your house, go hide in the closet, like whatever you gotta do.
Yeah,
I just think everybody needs that because our world now is just so noisy. I mean, we've never been more stimulated in our evolution than we are today.
Absolutely.
And you can't tell me it doesn't take a toll on people. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think anybody listening to this can attest that when you've dealt with people all day or you have kids and people tugging at you and asking you questions or whatever, the last thing that you want to do is be touched and talked to. You just want to be left the heck alone. And so sometimes there's nothing I want more than to be in peace and quiet.
Yep.
So I put my phone on Do Not Disturb or I leave it on purpose.
Yep.
And it's not because I'm available. It's because I'm taking time to restore. Yep. There's a lot of people pulling and tugging at us every single day, asking us questions, needing something from us. And I don't think people think about the mental load and stress that puts on our bodies. I know I didn't until I started my business. And boy, does it bring some things into the forefront. And then you learn a lot about yourself and how you handle and manage people and how you handle and manage yourself. And so it'll bring things to the surface that maybe you don't always recognize. But I really enjoy my solitude.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time with people, and so sometimes that can come off rude to some other people, but that's how I restore.
Yeah. We have to recharge somehow.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we also talked about too, like getting outside. Like it's springtime. I know the weather's kind of crazy right now, but like, you know, I think aside from quiet and stillness, like get out in nature, you know, go sit in the sun. Like if you can't move or exercise, like just go be outside. Like the sun.
There's nothing better than fresh air and sunlight.
Yeah, fresh air and sunlight. Like that is really I saw it was like a reel or something the other day. It was like, I didn't realize I was solar powered. But like, you know, when the sun comes out, like it really rejuvenates us. And I just think we don't give it enough credit.
It's funny that you say that because I saw this like meme and it had like some type of creature on it and it was like a red fur and a black face and that was like the sun came out, it was like, hey y'all, like it was like a little Mufasa thing and I was like, yes, like I feel that.
Yes.
When I get into fresh air and the sunlight, like I am a completely different human. Like I feel like I genuinely have seasonal depression. Like when it gets dark and cold and wet,
we all do to a degree.
I am just not very nice to myself, or hopefully I'm nice to my clients. But you know, that's something that I have to regulate and actively work on,
right?
Because I feel that too. And so something I'll say too with being outside, I hear this a lot with who we serve. A lot of people don't get out if it's weather depicted, like because it's cold today. There's gonna be, well, it's cold, I didn't go for a walk.
Yep.
When it was like icing and snowing outside, I was outside walking on ice.
Yep.
Now I'm not saying that that's for everybody, but that's just the type of person that I am. Like when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and there's nothing that's going to stop me, not even the storm. And I think there's a lot of power in that. Like I may not be out there walking for an hour, but I'm going to put 5, 6, 7 layers on whatever, and I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to do it because I know that my body needs it. So, you know, it's just like food. Like,
it's like what's a priority to you?
I have to eat.
Yep.
You know, I have to bathe. I have to brush my teeth. Like there's just certain things that need to get done. And so to me, that's part of it. Like I said, when you start looking at your health and showing up for yourself as vital as living the things that you do on a regular basis, then it compounds into so many other things and so many other aspects.
And it changes your mindset, right? Like, I mean, people are like, I would never think to, you know, bundle up and go walk in the snow or whatever. But it's like you start changing your habits and changing your priorities, and then you develop that mindset. Like, I'm not letting weather stop me, you know?
Or for me, when I thought we were going to be snowed in, I ordered a treadmill. I was like, I'm be damned if I'm not going to go outside and walk.
Yeah.
So I ordered a treadmill, I put it right in front of my window so I could see outside. I was like, no excuses. You know, I got it for $1.30, not $1.30, but $130 on Amazon, and it works.
My good friend Amber with the saunas and stuff outside, she always says there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we don't have to let these things be an excuse. It's really a choice. So,
well, I don't know what the saying is. I'll probably butcher it, but a lot of times people, it's called like spoon-fed misery. They like to stay in their misery and they create their own misery and they create their own excuses to stay where they are, and so they avoid what they need to do and they place blame on everything else versus taking any accountability. And I see that in everything that I do every single day. It's like, you know, it wasn't that important to me. It's, well, she said this and she did this and my schedule didn't allow for this and my kid did that or my kid got external. It's always external. There's never any ownership. And honestly, I think that's also a fundamental of mastering the basics. Like, until you take ownership of your time and how you contribute to the life that you're living, you're going to continue to be miserable. There's always going to be an excuse. Life is always going to happen. That's just part of living on this side of heaven. There has never been a time in my life that I don't know, that everything's perfect. No.
You have all the time in the world and no.
And I don't have the privilege of being a wife or a mother yet. But I feel like sometimes I am the busiest woman on the face of the earth. There's a lot of hats that I wear, and I'm like, if I can make time, I feel like anybody can make time. And I think it's bullshit when people say like, well, everybody has the same 24 hours a day. No, we don't. No, we don't all have the same 24 hours in a day.
No.
And I recognize that there's things that are tugging and pulling at us, but maybe you have 5 minutes. And so you capitalize on what you do have. And you make those things non-negotiable, ironclad in your life. And it doesn't matter if your kids are acting up, well, put them on your back and walk out the door. You know, there's so many wonderful trainers and coaches that are mothers of 1, 2, 3, 4, plus kids.
Yep.
And I think they are absolute superwomen because, like, I have a hard time when it's just me and Hank. And I'm like, I have no idea if I were to have all this going on. So if you're also a mom, it is possible because I have so many friends and acquaintances that I watch and I have so much respect for because I know that there's things that are tugging and pulling at them, but they are still choosing to show up for themselves and to be a good example for their kids. And so it is possible. We figure it out. And these women are also business owners and wives, and you make it happen.
Yep.
I think if it's important to you, you will find a way, and you won't let the weather or finances or what somebody said or how you feel dictate your actions.
Yeah.
It will, I always say fear has a voice, but it doesn't get a vote. And so, yes, there are things that are naturally godly feelings that you will have, but they don't get to make the vote on your next step. And I think that's really important to know.
Yeah, and I will piggyback and say that, like you said, it's possible if you prioritize it, but it's also worth it, y'all. Like, it's worth it. It is so worth, like, whatever it is you're trying to change. If it's just one thing that we've talked about, but like being willing to change one thing and then sticking with it and watching it compound, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, like, it is worth the effort. It does seem hard sometimes at first, and a lot of this can feel, overwhelming. But if you can find little ways to grasp at, whatever we've talked about, it's just worth it. Like we're talking about, like, just people come to us a lot of times with these, purely aesthetic goals or a scale or, a pant size or whatever. And I'm like, that's all great and dandy, but like, that's not going to keep you going. What's really the reward in the end is, how you are in another decade, how you function and get around, like how you get to play with your kids or your grandkids. And so just looking at the big picture and saying, in 10 years from now, am I going to look back and wish I had prioritized my sleep? Or am I going to look back and wish that I had, moved my body more? I don't want to look back and regret that. So I would just say, if anything feels daunting or hard, like, you're worth it. You're worth the effort that any of this takes.
Absolutely. I mean, it kind of goes back to, and I said this to two clients actually earlier. It's like anything worth having wasn't easy. And yes, it is hard. It's going to require effort. The more I do things, though, the more I do things in my day-to-day, things do get easier. What may seem very hard for people to start off, the more you practice those behaviors, the more you implement what you're learning, and also being willing to unlearn things that are not serving you in certain seasons of life, you will get better and sharper at those things. But stopping and starting and stopping and starting and just getting off the wagon because it's not perfect is not doing you a service. It's doing you a disservice, and it's keeping you stuck. And so wherever you find yourself at, don't feel like you need to buy into this facade, to have it all together, to be completely arrived, to create this balance. I don't know if I talked about this last episode or not, but there's these things that I heard this said from a pastor one time. He talked about cultural delusions. And two things out of that stuck out. This need to have a work-life balance, that's delusional. There is no such thing as a work-life balance. I think you have seasons of life where it's more work, and I think you have seasons of life where it's more life. But you incorporate and adapt and pivot where you can. So during different seasons of life, maybe in one season of life you have 5 workouts a week.
Right.
Maybe in another one it's 3.
Right.
Maybe in another one it's 2.
Right.
Maybe you're just walking.
Yeah.
But it's being willing to not shut it off and shut it down completely. It's just pivoting.
Yep.
When life happens. Adapting. Yep. Being versatile and having that flexible definitely works for your advantage. Another one I'll say is also this, it's a cultural delusion, like our means of relief. Like we seek relief in so many things. We want relief from responsibility. We want relief from accountability. We want relief from making decisions. And so that's why we tend to lean toward certain conveniences. But think about all that time that you spend in investing in what's convenient. How are you closing those gaps in the time that you're buying back? And what are you doing with that to help create the life that you want for yourself, that you want for your family? When I pay people to do a job, I'm getting time back that I wouldn't have had if I'd done it myself. And so it's like, what am I doing with that time, and how can I capitalize on that? In whatever facet, if it's going to sleep, if it's going for a walk, if it's eating, whatever time of day that is, how am I showing up for myself and the time that I'm getting back?
Yeah. Well,
so
that's good. I feel like, I hope this has helped. I feel like we've touched on a lot.
Yeah.
Environment, stress, sleep, nutrition, workouts, just self-worth, right? Like, if you don't believe you're worth it, you're not gonna do it. So I think it starts with, honestly, that is like believing that you're worth it, or your health is worth it, or your family's health is worth it. And even if you don't believe that, like, trying to press into that, and there are people that in your life that love you and that depend on you, and so it's just thinking about the bigger picture, I think, always with these things. Was there anything else? Or
no, I think I feel like what you're saying, like thinking about the bigger picture, I think that's huge too. Like even if you don't look any different,
right,
if the vanity is completely removed from it, and you just focus on health, thinking about how that affects so many other aspects of your life. Like if I feel good in my skin and I'm able, how does that affect the people that I do life with? How does that affect my kids? How does that affect my spouse? How does that affect my friends and family? I think that matters. I think it matters. And I spoke about this a while back. I think I did a video on it, but it was like believing that you can is the bulk of the battle. There's so many things in my life that I've already surpassed. Like I never ever would have thought that I would be where I am. And a lot of it's just pure bullheadedness. Like I credit it to God and my stubborn will. But I also have noticed when I begin to accomplish things or do things in my life, that things I didn't believe that I could, and I did anyway. The power that is. And so it may look like I can't do that. I can't. Well, I always say can't, never could. And there's a difference between can't and won't.
Yeah.
What you won't do and what you truly lack the ability to do. And so I would just encourage you to challenge that. What are you saying that you can't do? And flip that and be like, no, are you just not wanting to do it? There's just no will to do it. And I'll just leave you with that.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. The cheesy saying of you can do anything you put your mind to, like, it's true,
I believe mindset matters.
There's a will, there's a way. So
I think if it's important
really
to you, you will make a way.
Yep.
You will figure it out. And so I hope that in these last 3 episodes, that you have gained some golden nuggets that you can implement into your life. And I pray that they set off like a wildfire and ignite your journey and your path. And it makes you feel equipped to say, you know what, I am enough. This is important to me, and I'm going to capitalize on what I do have.
Yep.
And watch how your life just transpires from there.
Yep. And I'll say anything we talk about beyond this, these 2 episodes of the basics, like our heart is always going to be bringing people back to the basics. But anything we talk about beyond this that maybe gets into more specific things down the road, right? Because we want to talk about all kinds of things that are, trending or things we believe that might be a little deeper or a little more specific. always come back to these 2 episodes. Like, if anything beyond this is like over your head or you just don't have the capacity for, you know, we're always going to want you to come back to the basics before you lock in on anything beyond what we might talk about in the future.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, that's why this is out there, is that
we wanted to do this first to
Right.
kind of like set the precedent, to set the foundation. Hank says it's time to wrap it up.
Now you can see Hank down.
He wanted to be in it. But yeah, we're always going to bring you back to the basics, but we're looking forward to other topics that we want to discuss and get deeper with you.
So go follow, subscribe, the
Yes.
Real Talk Collective on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and stay tuned for episode 4. We are dropping 1 episode a month for now, and so we will drop our 4th episode at the end of April.
Yep.
So keep
And if
following,
you have,
keep watching.
If you have any suggestions or topics or questions, as always, please give them to us because we welcome it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.